everybody who came to our meeting tonight. We have some really exciting topic. My name is Barbara Boshin and I'm from CoMerchant, and CoMerchant is software that helps you relist from your Amazon listings to Walmart. And we also have another product called Easy Key, which lets you keyword your listings, which will increase your sales. And because you're going to be found more, you'll be more relevant.
Hey guys, my name is Chakra Indapelli. I run a company called Jungle Books. We do accounting services for Amazon sellers.
Well, tonight we have Doug Levin, and he is a chatbot expert. He manages a number of people's Shopify accounts. He runs a course to help you learn how to build your email list and via chatbots or mailing programs. Is that right? And he's graciously agreed to come and give us some more information on chatbots and how we can use them either on our Facebook groups, our Facebook pages, or Shopify sites to really gain a strategic advantage. So welcome, Doug.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk to you everyone here.
Hey. So my first question, we'll get right into it. My first question is, why chatbots? What's the advantage over that doing emails or some other form of outreach?
Yeah, so really the big advantage I would say in terms of chatbots versus anything else is the fact that you can have that conversation with someone like with instantly. So with emails, if you had a question, like you're a customer and you're reaching out to some brand, and the brand is going to respond to you, say through an email, that's going to take 4 or 5 emails back and forth to get the conversation going. It can take weeks, it can take months, in a lot of different instances. Versus if you're talking to somebody in a chatbot, you can set all that stuff up to handle that customer side of it, where you could have that entire conversation within the span of say 30 seconds to a minute. And it just helps a lot in terms of the customer service aspect, that automation part of it. There's just that's the first thing that comes to mind, but there's a lot of different things that you can do in terms of the chatbot side of things.
Yeah, I can totally see that, because I know nobody answers the phone anymore. So that's totally dead. Everybody's got caller ID and I don't know who that is, and they throw it away. And everybody's very comfortable with texting. So a chatbot is just like an extension of texting, really.
Yeah, definitely. And what's great about that, one of the things I love about chatbots too, is you can integrate a lot of other things into it. Especially like ManyChat is the one that I use specifically, but if you're talking about email, you're talking about SMS, all those things, you can use it as another platform as well to integrate. So if people are texting, you can potentially go that route and then bring it into a bot where you can have more of that conversation. I know a lot of people use it specifically with Amazon for the search, find, buy kind of stuff, but there's a lot of other ways you can do it too. But if you're theoretically doing it, say from an SMS or something like that, where people are going to be texting or they're going to bringing it in, then you can start to have that same conversation where you can start to ask them questions. You can have that basic conversation with somebody, wherever they're coming in from, and then go wherever you want to take them after that. So yeah, there's a lot of great things.
So I knew I wouldn't have a hard time thinking up questions. I think I got 6 in that. But so we have a lot of Amazon sellers that will be listening to this or would be very interested in explain search, find, buy. How is that being used? That I don't even know what that is.
Okay.
Yeah. I know what search, find, buy is. I don't understand with the chatbots.
Yeah, I think at this point it seems to be a given. It seems to be that buzzword that everyone keeps hearing in the Amazon space of, oh yeah, I'm going to launch a product, so I'm going to do search, find, buy on it, and they always seem to be using ManyChat now. So in essence, what it is it's somewhat of a giveaway or a deep discount. And a lot of times they'll run let's say a Facebook ad, because since ManyChat specifically, if we're talking about chatbots, is integrated with Facebook first, is what everyone thinks of. There's other forms now that they're doing, but everyone thinks of Facebook. So they'll run an ad, like a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad, that's going to go to your Facebook Messenger, so your chatbot, and then from there they're going to try and do hey, do you want to buy our product and get whatever the discount is? Sometimes it's going to be you search for the product. So within the chatbot itself, it's going to give you instructions as the customer. Here's how you're going to go search for the product. You're going to find the product and you're going to buy it. A lot of times when they do it, they'll do it in a way that's organic. So it's not one of those 2-step URLs or Supreme URLs or any of that kind of stuff. A lot of times they do it where it's all right, go on Amazon, search for Nike red shoes. Okay, ours looks like this. And obviously with chatbots, that's the thing, you can take them step by step.
Right, they could literally have it in one screen and be doing Amazon on the other screen. And you could even say, do that, let me know when you found that, click.
Yeah.
That's really fascinating.
And with some of that too, they'll also do things I've seen it before, what's the price, right? And then so you can see that it's not someone just trying to milk it. And then with the chatbot, you can do a lot of different things as well. If they didn't answer it correctly, they've got one more chance, or any of those kinds of things. So yeah, it's kind of like that. There's debate in the Amazon community about how gray hat it is in terms of some of that, but I see it done all the time at this point. It's kind of just one of the things that everyone seems to have in their tool belt whenever they're trying to launch a product.
Yeah, I don't have that tool belt, but I'll have to go get one. I'm learning. Where Doug is helping me learn how to use chatbots, so I've hired him to train me. Anyway, so the next question too is, what you just described to me makes me think that if they come to my page or they come to my website or wherever, and I have this chatbot, the chatbot can actually launch things, right? Let's say someone's would you like a catalog? can the chatbot like initiate an instruction, maybe with Zapier or something like that, or Zapier or something like that, to send you a catalog while you're chatting with them?
Theoretically, yeah. I mean, one of the good
That's
things
next level, but
yeah, like there's like one of the options that's available within a chatbot is a keyword tool. So you can set up where specific keywords will trigger some kind of an action. So like it's kind of like an if this then that kind of a thing. So the actual platform itself is built basically that way. So it's as simple as whenever someone types stop or unsubscribe, it will automatically within ManyChat have a thing that will say, do you really want to unsubscribe? Like it takes that
here's a
keyword.
special deal, here's a yada yada.
Yeah, so you can do the same thing in terms of if you realize that, okay, through the customer service, through what I know about my ideal customer or anything like that, they're going to have questions about X or Y or whatever it is. I'm going to set up my keyword automation where anytime someone says catalog or whatever it is, it's going to start this kind of it's going to trigger this flow. And flow just means it's like the sequence of whatever it is you're trying to send them as a message block. So you would just set it up that way where it says, if someone says like, what kind of catalog do you have or something, then now it could start in like, oh, here's 3 different catalogs we have related to X. And then you can kind of go in deeper and deeper. But yeah, you could definitely do something along those lines with it.
Yeah, I mean, when you describe it, it sounds a little technical to me. And I think that a lot of people will be like, whoa, like that's, I'll just keep going and buying, put my stuff in the box and send it to Amazon. That's crazy
Right.
talk. But it really, if you think about all it is an implementation of a discussion you would have if you could talk to the person directly. Like, hello, welcome to our webpage or welcome to the ad or whatever it is, like, hi. And then the person would say, and he's like, are you interested in product X? Do you have any questions? The same thing you would do, which is why when you're constructing a chatbot, you have to think kind of in the abstract and creatively and try to figure out where flows are going to go. Right? Like,
Yeah.
so how would you, let's keep it really simple. Like, let's not do the search, find, buy, because there's a lot, I can get it, but there's a lot of like techno hooks and stuff. Let's say I have a Facebook page and I have my products on a page. What does it look like? How would I set up like the bare minimum chatbot? Because right now they're just going there. It's like it's gonna be like a friendly, like the Walmart greeter. Hello, welcome to our page.
Right. So honestly, you can set up a chatbot in like 10 minutes, or less than 10 minutes. You could get like someone with no technical skill whatsoever could set it up that quickly. It's not hard. Like I will fully admit sometimes I get excited because of all of the other things you can do, like geeky tech.
I have that problem too.
But you don't have to do that. Though. Like basically all I ever think of is all right. I'm going to treat the Facebook page as a way to potentially show off your product. Add some of the potential questions that people might have about show off a little bit about your brand and then products and then a way to contact you. That like you can set all that stuff in like 5 or 10 minutes. Like there's something called like a welcome message and a main menu, which you'll see when you log into ManyChat. So you could set up for every time you set something up, like if you're to go to anybody's Facebook page that has a ManyChat bot set up attached to it, then a lot of times you'll see like 3 different things that are under it. If you're
like pick 1 or 2 or 3, right? Say 1. Okay.
Yeah. So you could literally set up just like here's some of our best selling products. Here's a little bit about our store, and here's how to contact us. Like those 3 things. That's it. You can set that up in 5 or 10 minutes with really no tech experience. You just go in ManyChat. You basically would click a couple boxes. You would say it how you want to say it, like if you were talking to the customer, and then you link it out to say your store if it's some of your products, or like you come up with, hey, here's a little bit about us if someone clicks on that, and you just say here's a way to contact us if you have a question. You could literally set that up, like I said, like in a few minutes, and that's it.
Okay. And is it really expensive? Like that technology?
Like, there's a I think I use ManyChat, so that's what I talk about. There are other ones out there. You don't have to use ManyChat. It's just the one that I've used, and a lot of people seem to use. It's basically the category king. But they're on a tiered pricing structure, so I think it's free to start, but then they have I think there's a different plans. There's a free plan, which basically there's a lot of the different features that are not available. But you can start, and you can definitely do very rudimentary things on the free plan if you don't want to spend any money. From there, it starts at $10 a month to get like full access to the different features, and then they do it by how many subscribers you have. So if you get up to say like 1,000, 2,000, whatever it is, you can start to get up to say $50, $100 a month or so. And the idea, obviously, with like a tiered plan is hopefully if you have say 5,000 people on your list, you're getting enough sales and enough revenue that is worth it to spend X amount of per month. So
would you? I guess you can do whatever you want, but would you design it to have like every time somebody comes to the page, the chatbot pops up, or is it can you design it like if it's a new person, a certain thing happens versus somebody like how do they do that? Like how do they know that you're that person? Is there cookies or
you can definitely set up specifically I don't they integrate with Shopify if you're talking about off Facebook right now, and I know you can definitely set up certain rules in there. It's been a while since I've set it up honestly, but I think there's a way to do it in terms of like repeat people that come on versus new. I know there's definitely ways to do it versus mobile versus desktop. Also, if you go to specific product pages, it will show up. So there's a lot of customization you can do on it. I do have to check to know for sure if it's the second and third time if you can do it. But I know that they can definitely do it if you come to specific pages that it's going to go, okay, we'll pop up. So a lot of times, if you're doing like a homepage, when someone's checking out the homepage of your Shopify store, it's going to pop up. So yeah, you can definitely do it a lot of those different ways.
And that's different than the like chatbots are entirely different and have different structures. And like when I go to a page and there's a little pop-up says, do you want to get on our newsletter?
That I think a lot of times is probably like an exit intent pop in a lot of ways. Like I set up both, but that's just because I want to get as many different ways to talk to someone as possible. So but yeah, there's an exit intent pop, which is like if you go to someone, say Shopify store, WooCommerce, whatever kind of store.
That's called I'm so Amazon centric. That's called a tent pop.
Exit intent pop. So like
exit intent.
Yeah, you're like so your intent is I'm going to leave, right? And as your mouse goes away, like you're going to leave, it's going to pop up and say, hey, don't leave. Do you want 10% off? Sign, go here, that kind of thing. So I've always heard it that way. It calls it exit intent pop.
All right. Okay. So that's interesting. I'm like thinking like all these things for my weekend homework. I'm going to set up a chatbot. I'm going to do an intent pop-up thing, and it's going to look horrible, but I'm going to try it. So I'm sure it'll really
starts somewhere, right?
Stays on the screen and never leaves and blocks everything or something like that.
Yeah, make it as difficult for someone to buy as possible. Right?
Yeah, it's going to do the exact polar opposite. So another question. I understand, like one of the from some of the discussion we had before we got on the meeting, that you can use it to build your list. Can you tell me a little bit more, like what that looks like?
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways you can do it. We talked about like Facebook ads when you're doing search find buy. You can do the same thing to build up your list too. If you're not even thinking about search find buy, like I'm a big proponent of building up your list. And so what that can mean is any kind of like a lead magnet. If you're like something of value that you're giving to someone, say through an ad or through a community or whatever it is, where they're gonna care enough about whatever it is you're giving away, that they're going to click on your ad or click on to open up your bot. So once that happens, they're theoretically now signed up to your messenger list. With that, you can also set up. This is one of the reasons I like ManyChat a lot, is that you can also set it up where you can get them to subscribe to your email list as well and your SMS list as well. And if you have like say a Facebook group, then you can push them to that as well. So like there's so many different ways that once you get them in your messenger chatbot sequence, that you can now like get them onto all of your other forms of communication. So now you can, like, okay, well, I want to do something for my Facebook group. Now I can push it there. Or if I'm always one who wants to be able to speak to people in as many different ways as possible, be omnipresent. So this gives you a way to do that. But one of the other things that is somewhat of a downside with ManyChat is that after 24 hours, you can no longer communicate with your customer on ManyChat unless you either pay or you have something called a one-time notification or other tags. With if you build up the other lists, then you can basically send them to ManyChat anytime you want. And then they're like I'm trying not to get too technical, but they'll basically anytime one of your subscribers goes through your chatbot sequence and in the ManyChat and they click on one of the buttons, like whatever it is that you're trying to talk about, it re-engages that bot where you can now talk to them again for the next 24 hours. So if you're coming through, like,
so you have to. I'm trying to determine if that's a privacy issue or if it's we want money issue.
I think
you said they have to pay.
Yeah, well, there's a few different options. So this was a change that happened in I think March of 2020. Before that, it was pretty much the Wild West in terms of.
I like the Wild West. I'm late for the Wild West.
Yes. Basically, think Amazon 2010, I guess, in terms of like how it was. So like people would just be spamming people of like, I got you on my list, and they used to have something called 24+1. Basically, meant you could do whatever you wanted in terms of like basically spamming people to try and get someone to buy something from you for like a whole 24 hours, and then you could do it again one other time after 24 hours. So it was becoming a big issue where Facebook thought it was a bad experience for the customer. So they ended up changing this rule where now it's whenever somebody engages with your bot, then you have 24 hours. But after that, unless you were to like, there's specific guidelines within ManyChat where you can keep it going. So like if it's a post-purchase, if you're talking about like e-commerce or something, you can set up there's these things called tags in ManyChat where you can set it up like, okay, well, I want to talk to somebody after 24 hours and give them an update on their order. Right. So that's something that's actually useful for the customer. So that's okay. That's like something that you can do outside 24
hours. That doesn't
hours.
Put you in ManyChat jail.
Right. Right. But outside of like, there's 3 or 4 tags that are like post-purchase that you can do outside of 24 hours. The only other way that you can do it without driving traffic from like email or Facebook or ping would be something called a one-time notification. So that's you can also set that up as another kind of a tag. And that just means like it's basically replaces what that +1 was in 2019. So you can but it's the customer or your subscriber being asked by you, like within that 24-hour period, you're basically saying, hey, would you like to know the next time we're running a promotion on our Nike shoes? And then they're going to opt in basically. So it's like a double opt-in. And then at that point, they're saying, yes, I do. I want to know next time you're running a promotion on Nike shoes. So then they're now in this bucket that says, I can contact them within, I think, the next year or 6 months. I forget which one. And then specifically only talk to them outside of the 24-hour period about my Nike shoe sale. So you're still able to talk to them and still able to talk to them about some kind of promotion, or like content, whatever it is. It's up to you at that point in terms of what the notification is regarding. The big thing is that they're opting into it, so it's not just you trying to spam them. So that was like the big change.
All right. All right. So anyway, so back to that. So basically what we're saying is like, maybe they come to, and there's so many instances. So once they come to my page and once they quote unquote opted in, my best bet is to get them to opt in with their email, their ManyChat acceptance, and what was the third thing?
So the email, SMS would be another one.
And their cell. Okay, some way to text them. Okay, and so that might be a hard pull, but maybe you can filter it through the conversation, like, hey, if you want our free guide, here's, give me your email address.
Yeah,
that you could sneak it in, so you're adding value for each piece of information they're giving you.
Yeah, with that, I always try and look at it from the customer perspective of look like, all right, is this really going to be valuable enough to them? Because if something is like super valuable, then they'll give you like all 3 or all 4 or whatever it is at that point. So just look at it from that perspective. And honestly, if they're not doing it, then something about your offer isn't that great, and you got to think about
right.
that.
Well, sometimes it could just be like you're welcome to the page, and it's not that exciting yet, and you're going to pull them in. That's what I'm thinking. So, but then after they sign up for all 3 things, and let's say they only signed up for the ManyChat, like for this example, and they come to my site and they say, we talk back and forth. They ask like, do you have this in green? I say yes. And they say, oh, okay, thank you. So the next day I want to contact them and say, hey, we also have this in purple, red, and yellow. Am I able to do that technically and legally?
If it's within 24 hours, you can. So if someone wants to buy from you, like at midnight on the 1st, then like that entire 24-hour period, you can still talk to them.
But you can't ping them a week later and say, hey, still have that green dress.
Yeah, right. You can. Everyone was freaking out when the change happened because you had to pay if it's outside that 24-hour period.
How much are you talking you have to pay?
Well, that's the thing, is that it honestly isn't very much a lot of times. It's like a cent or two a lot of times for that. Like, so I've done stuff where like there was like one client, and I think he had, I don't know what it was, like 500, 1,000 people on his list. And we were trying to like re-engage for some promotion. And I think I ended up spending 20 or 30 bucks. And it was like over the course of the entire campaign. And we ended up getting, I don't know, like $400 or $500 in sales or whatever it was. It's like, all right, you'll pay 20 bucks for $400 or $500 in sales. Sure.
Yeah. And then whatever you learn from that's huge too.
Yeah.
So let me think. When can I, now I know you had given me a note about one-time notification. I was like, I don't know what he's talking about.
Yes,
how else can you talk to them? Besides like just like what other ways can you use this? Like I think we've got the basics of how it works, but like how, like, and I know you love to tell us all the cool things you can do. So we've got hello, welcome to my page. We've got search, find, buy. We've got post contact follow up, right? So I don't know if ManyChat, if someone, I don't know if you can connect and see like where they were on your website, and if they added something to cart and there was an abandon, if you can do something with that.
With Shopify, they've integrated, like that's where ManyChat and Shopify are more connected than any other platform right now. So they have abandoned cart set up. They got like a kind of a post-purchase kind of a thing on there as well. They got, I think, a fulfillment option. So there's not a ton compared to what you want to happen, but there is still that integration where you can still talk to them through those different kind of aspects with Shopify. Yeah, definitely do.
And how is there? So the 24 thing, I do understand that, because maybe you want to like pop up and say hi, because I know are the open rates still what I heard they were some time ago? Like email, it's like X%, and
yeah, I think the general like term is around, I want to say emails around 20% is usually pretty good. And ManyChat, a lot of times it's like in the 80s or 90s range in terms of
they'll at least connect with you.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and the big thing though I will say about it is, and I probably should have said this at the very beginning, but we were kind of you were talking about it actually, and it was true. I should have spoken up, but like the big thing about ManyChat, where everyone looks at email as like a one-to-many approach, so you're just spamming people in terms of like, hey, here's something. Since you have that kind of access to somebody with the ManyChat setup, you have to also understand that you have that much access to somebody, so they're going to get really annoyed if you spam them. So it really is that one-to-one approach.
Right.
So as you're going,
and you can tailor that discussion.
Yes.
As you learn more and you like really analyze it. It reminds me of Excel. You have this if-then, so like I always call it when we talk if-then statement, like if they do this, then I'm gonna do that. If they do that, then I'm gonna do this. And if they, so you can really get, my husband and I were in Europe, and we were, I think we were in Germany. We were in Germany, not Austria. And we walk in, and we'd been there for a weekend speaking German, and I don't speak it, but he does. So I only know like how to count and do like a few minor transactions and get wine and get beer. And so we walk into a store, and the woman starts talking, and I said, "Nein, danke." And my husband goes, "How do you know what she's saying?" I'm like, "What is she gonna say to me? You want to go on a date? You want to get on an airplane? She's gonna say, 'Can I help you?'" I have no idea what she said, but like there's a limited amount of things that someone's really going to ask you. Although I have some secret questions for fun in a little while, that we'll see. So what else could chatbots be used for? We got search, find, buy, welcome to my page, post purchase.
Giveaways are another one that a lot of people will do. There's a lot of integrations you can do as well in terms of there's so many different platforms that kind of integrate through Zapier or on the platform itself. So there's a lot of stuff with Google Drive will do in terms of we've done stuff before with like giveaways. We'll do like a leaderboard kind of a thing, and you can set those kind of things up. Trying to think of some other things as well. I mean, if you're with ManyChat, you can also set it up all within one platform. So when you're talking about email and SMS, you can set up it. Since we're talking about the not being able to talk to somebody outside of 24 hours, but you can still use email and SMS if you get them to opt in the ManyChat platform. Then you can also create your own SMS campaigns and email campaigns within ManyChat as well. So at that point, you can talk to them in an email. You can set up your own email that takes them to ManyChat and then re-engage them that way. If you have specific content where you wanted to set it up as something like, hey, check out this new blog post or this new whatever, you can have that going into a bot too. So really at that point, it's just kind of like, well, what do you want to do? Because you can honestly do like it is.
Anything, yeah, that's fair. What other, so it works with Facebook, it works with Shopify. What other platforms could you use it on?
So they're in beta now, I think, for Instagram, and I want to say that they're working on WhatsApp as well. I know Instagram has been a thing. I think it's a beta close right now, but they're going to be doing that soon. So like I'm assuming the rate that they've been going in terms of expanding, they're going to find new platforms as it goes through.
You can't use it on Amazon. You can't use it on Etsy. You can't use it on the marketplaces.
Right. I know with Amazon, there is, for like those people that are doing either search find buy or they're doing something where they're trying to drive traffic to Amazon. There's been other software out there that integrates with ManyChat where you can theoretically get like order information. So like I think Seller Tools is one that does it, and I think Boost Rooster is another. They're obviously an added cost where like they integrate with your Amazon account, and then they'll do something where it's like, hey, let me double check that you actually placed an order with us, and they'll go through your Amazon account and check the order ID. Like if someone was placing an order and you're like following up with them saying, okay, what's your order ID? And then there's like what the 17 numbers in terms of like putting it, and then they'll just like look through that and go, okay, yeah, this is real or not. And you can then set it up automated way where it's like, hey, this you actually didn't place that order or anything like that, or you did, and then go on to the next step. So yeah, you can do all that stuff.
So definitely like with an 80% open rate, even if you do a like a half job, I don't want to say the other word. It's recorded. I don't want to get reported. Even if you do like like a somewhat good job, you should have a pretty good success rate with whatever you're trying to accomplish. Yep. I've heard people crafting a persona. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I look at it that you should always have some kind of persona, but digging into a little bit you're going to talk about later, I guess, in terms of the question. But I've seen a lot of people that like they get irritated if like a customer was to go on to your Facebook page or your Shopify store and they start interacting with someone, and if they don't know it's a bot, like if you as the brand are basically trying to pretend that it's just a real person talking to them, a lot of times they get irritated. So a lot of what people will have done, and it seems to work a lot of the time too, is like they're kind of getting get out ahead of the problem, kind of where it's like, all right, hi, I'm Bill the chatbot, or you can kind of give it whatever kind of name, kind of relate your brand, your niche, like, and you give them their own characteristics. Like maybe it's based off of the founder, maybe it's like at this point it's kind of up to you in terms of how you want to market it, but they'll do things like that, and then they're pretty much acknowledging at that point, yeah, hey, I'm a bot. But they found, I guess, in terms of the studies and the data, that it doesn't really have a negative effect by you like admitting, hey, it's Bill the bot right here, and I'm going to help you with X or whatever. They're just ultimately at the end of the day, they're happy that they can get their question answered or their problem solved or whatever it is, and they don't really care if it's a real person or not. I mean, obviously once you want to get to a real person, but if you can get all your problems solved and not have to talk to anybody, I know like my wife would be like, I don't want to talk to anybody. If I can talk to a bot, then that's going to make things a lot easier and still get what I want. So
yeah, it just drives me crazy on Amazon because I know what I want and I need to get them to help me, and they just keep sending me through these menus like just need to get this corrected. Don't need all that. But but that's an experience. Someone that's new to your product or your site or whatever, it's going to be something that they have to explore.
Yeah, and that's where I would say, like, as well, when you're saying like you're having that frustrating experience with Amazon where they don't ever get you to a real person, you can set up your bot really, really easily. Like there's basically a tag, like you would set up what's called an action. It's just within your bot flow where it can basically say notify like an admin, and then you'll get notified, and then like you can set it like, so when I was talking about like the contact us, always have that so that you can allow your customer to get you if they actually really do need you. But a lot of times they probably won't, and then you don't have to. Or it could be a VA. It could contact you too, so it doesn't have to be you.
That's right. I had to get in touch with QuickBooks the other day on payroll, and I just kept typing "get human," because I had gone through. I did all my due diligence. I gone through all the help, and I knew it was something that they had to help me with. And finally, I said, "Getting you an agent." I was like, "Yes, get human." So, and now I'll give you the surprise questions, and we'll open up if anybody on the call online that has a question. So. Someone said that you should be prepared for these questions. I looked an article up, and the 5 questions were, drumroll please, are you a robot? What do you respond with that?
That's where I would go through it, and I would say, be honest and say like, hey, like from the very beginning, if you're saying something at the, like in the initial message, saying like,
Mhm.
I'm Bill the bot or anything like that, you're just over.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, if they ask that question, I'll say, yeah, I'm a bot. I just don't see any real like upside to trying to pretend.
Pretend you're not. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so then the next question when you say no, I'm not a bot is, well, what's your name? But right, you've solved that problem.
Yeah.
And let's see the other two questions they'll ask. So the other two things that they'll trip you up on if you want to pretend that you're not a bot is how are you? And but actually, even the bot should be able to answer that question.
Yeah,
We can make it really fun, like if
Yeah.
you start asking questions.
And that's where like ultimately the bot is just an extension of you. So if you were to
Mhm.
have fun with it, like you talked about the if this and that, I talk about it as more like a choose your own adventure. But you can do this
Okay, I like that. That's a lot less like ex finance geek that I am.
but yeah, I mean, at that point, it's like kind of up to you in terms of like how playful do you want to be? Like if someone was to
Right.
ask that, like,
You can
yeah,
iterate. You can start with something and see what your customers are like, and and start pulling stuff in. So
yeah,
you
yeah,
can.
and over time, you're gonna get better at it too. Like it's the whole thing of, you need to start somewhere, and you're basically like when you get started, you're not gonna have a ton of stuff, right? You're gonna think of like maybe 2 or 3 different
Mhm.
keywords or whatever it is that your bot might do, and then you'll start like, and that's fine. You don't have to start with the whole thing, and then
Right.
once you start to go through it, and then you start to get, oh, this person asked this question, and I've heard this 2 or 3 times. Well, okay, obviously this is something that I should probably think about, and then you can start to think, how would I answer this, and just kind of
Mhm.
keep adding on to it.
So you can see the logs of obviously you're not watching your chatbot answering people's questions because then what would be the point of having a chatbot? But you can see the log of everything that happened and everything that happened. So you can tweak it and see what happened. Oh, that's pretty interesting. So that's the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
That you and then you can just edit it and put the new paths in or the adventures or whatever that you want people to have.
Yeah, yeah,
Great.
they have it's called like a live chat or where you can kind of look at the chat for whichever subscriber it is that was going
Mhm.
through your messenger sequence. Yeah, and then you can just see how it is and go, okay, yeah, and then yeah, make those changes for future.
Okay. I don't see any questions in the chat right now. We're probably overwhelmed them with trying to think of like how to put this in place. Is there anything that you I didn't get a chance to ask you that you want to bring up? I just want to give you the opportunity.
I think that covers a lot of it. I mean, one of the things I guess you can do as well is you can accept payments through ManyChat as well, and that's something that a lot of people don't do. I've done it.
Except what?
You can you can like Stripe or PayPal if you wanted
Oh,
to.
okay. Oh,
It's kind of like a lot of people don't use it, but I used it like a handful of times, and like if you're looking at it from the perspective of like anytime like you're trying to get a new customer, you always want to make it as frictionless as possible, right? Like as easy
mhm,
on them as possible. That's why Amazon is where they're at because they have the buy box, right? And it's
right.
just okay, I click a button and I'm done. So it's if you can do that for the customer, then that's where sales are going to happen and they're going to be happy with you. So that's where like I try to do it like a handful of times with ManyChat specifically, where it's like,
Mhm.
hey, if I'm going to talk about my product, I could push them over to Shopify, or I could even try and have them buy right within ManyChat. So it's like, hey, here's our product, like an image, whatever it is. Would you like to buy? And then they put in their credit card info, and they're done. They don't even have to go to Shopify or Amazon at that point. So yeah, there's that integration with Stripe and PayPal. So that's one thing. Like
That's
I
kind of
don't hear,
cool.
yeah, I don't hear a lot talked about, but I mean, it can work pretty well. So
And it's why I think Instagram and Facebook, when they finally, get like the tools and make things easier, Amazon's going to lose a lot of ground to them because they're there where people are. And I remember from college, like we had an advertising class, and they said, where, what is it? The music? Is it the lights? Is it the sound? Is it the store? Like what's the most compelling thing to get people to buy your products? And the answer was basically have what they want when they want it.
mhm.
So and where they are.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was kind of location, location, location.
Yeah, and
Um,
what you were just talking about too is another thing that I think a lot of people don't do enough of in terms of the like since you can segment so much within ManyChat. So like we're talking about the idea of like your ideal customer and trying to
mm,
understand who they are and everything that goes with that. With this, you can segment them so easily where it's like if I was to take someone through that bot, like we're talking about throughout, and then if I was saying like, all right, would you want to buy this? And then they would say no, and then you would ask, oh, what issues are having, or anything like where you're trying to understand where they're at, so you can give them the best product that's going to help them. You can now segment them enough where in the future you're also going to give them more products and more content, more everything that's related to them. So you're individualizing it a lot more than just hey, buy this whole thing because it's the only product we have that we want to push because we don't know anything about you. But
right.
here, like,
It's
okay,
mass customization.
yeah. So you can set it up as customized as you want at that point. Where it's like, all right,
Mm,
if someone's got this kind of issue, then they can have product one. If they have this kind of issue, then product two. And you can even like reference previous conversations in the segment and all those other kinds of things where you can personalize it and really give them that service that a lot of people at this point are expecting. Like
right,
Amazon
right.
has made it that way. So you're kind of in a way can out
Can you
Amazon.
show images in the bot?
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
because like we got this in purple and green, or you might also like this if you like that.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
people also bought, yeah.
yeah, if you have enough of that like data from them, where like you're segmenting them, then yeah, you can definitely add all that stuff in, and then you're personalizing it for them, and you're
Mhm.
giving them a great experience, and hopefully that leads to a lot of sales too. Right?
Yeah, I'm thinking like, hi, welcome to our page. Did you know we're having a 2-for-1? Or do you know we're having 10% off if you use this code and whatever? It'd be really compelling.
Yeah, and at that point, if they click on something, then what's great, like I'm always coming from a data perspective, and
Hmm.
with ManyChat, it's got so many metrics and data and all the other kind of stuff that you can tag. So like
Hmm.
anytime anyone does anything in your bot, you can set up some kind of a tag or some kind of a whatever, where you can now set
When
up
they
some kind of thing in the future based off of that. So yeah,
when they come back, you could address that.
yeah,
Address
oh
them
yeah.
specifically with that. Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Shaka, do you have anything you wanted to add? I saw you popped on and popped off. He's in the throes of taxes right now.
I know. Yeah, the AC just kicked in, so it's like really loud.
Oh, oh.
No, it's pretty very helpful. I mean, the one thing I wanted to ask is, I know we talked a lot about search, find, and buy, and I know you said there's an opportunity to buy right from ManyChat, but a lot of times we are, as Amazon sellers, trying to get the ranking right.
Right.
So is that the downside you see, or like for an established product, maybe like do you segment like, hey, your page is the same, but if it's an established product, you don't mind getting that, but if it's a new launch or whatever, you always want to keep them back to Amazon.
Yeah,
Do that kind of segmenting, or
you can definitely segment in terms of that part of it. I usually look at it as, if I'm gonna like launch a new product or whatever it is, I'm going to try and not split my focus as much as possible. Like if I'm launching a product and I want to launch it on Amazon, I'm going to launch it on Amazon, and I'm going to put all of my effort into making it go well on Amazon. As like the way like I had this problem when I first started with bots and launching my first product, trying to use ManyChat, was it split the focus, and honestly it didn't really help either way, in terms of like it felt like Shopify was trying to compete with Amazon at that point, and then they're just saying, okay, well, where's the best price? All right, or if it's the same price, I'm just going to Amazon.
Okay.
So it makes it a lot more difficult. So I'm usually, personally, whenever I've done is, I'm of the mindset, if I'm going to push it to Amazon, I'm only going to push it to Amazon.
Got it.
But then once I'm going to segment, I'm like, all right, it's established enough, or I don't care if I'm going to launch it on Amazon. There are people that want to do that too, and they're going to go, all right, I want to own the customer, and I just want to be on Shopify or Walmart or wherever it is I'm trying to push traffic at that point, where it's not as big of a deal about the Amazon rank. I'm obviously, like, I'm in it every day, so I know it's all about keyword and reviews and everything else that goes on with it. But there's instances where I don't care in terms of like the keyword ranking. I want to own that customer, or I want to build up my list better, or potentially a higher profitability because I don't have to give Amazon the cut. Like those kinds of things where it might be worth it to me. So.
Yeah, I think that's one of my biggest issues with Amazon. It's not that I mind paying them a commission. It's a mind that I have to pay that every time. Like I don't get to leverage. Like I would spend so much more money if I could come back to the customer, if I could upsell the customer, or if I could do whatever. But the problem, and I know that they drive tons and tons of traffic and everybody shops on Amazon. But I'm like, I was doing a quick research the other day, and I'm like, this person's bought the same product from me 8 times, like in the last 2 years, because it's so they use it and they come back and they get more. And I'm like, and that's someone I could have sold that same scent that they love, hand washed and all this other stuff. And I can't, because, I can't talk to them again. I can't present to them that for another $10, they could have this thing that normally sells for 15. I can't do any of that. Like, not to downgrade Amazon. I think it's been amazing, but my eyes are like opening now to how much is out there. I just got to figure the way to do it smartly and efficiently, and use the tools that are out there to do that. And this is one of them. This is a huge tool.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, if you want to stay on Amazon, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I know for me personally, I just when I got into that, like everybody else, you have some issues with Amazon where you want to start to look at other potential ways where you're not completely reliant on them. And that's where, when I was looking at ManyChat, I just love the idea of owning the customer. I'm all about anything I can do to own the customer, where I'm still using using Amazon for the amazing platform it is, but I can now start to build up my own list and talk to them however I want to. And maybe for Amazon, it's gray hat in a lot of ways, but if they were to shut me down tomorrow, then I've still got my list and I can still talk to them, and it's not going to kill me as a business at that point.
And when you're doing that search, find, buy, and you send that customer to Amazon, aren't they your customer?
Technically they are, right? But that's where you kind of get into some of the issues of with Amazon, right? And then you're also dealing with, if it's search, find, buy, a lot of times you're giving them a full rebate.
It's a little too much mixed media there.
Yeah. So that's where Amazon is not going to like it. So yeah, that can be gray, or some people will say black, and that's where I guess it depends, and some people debate on that. But
yeah, I always get nervous about black and gray. I'm like, stay away hat. But maybe a little gray. No, just on my head. All right. Well, thank you very, very much for your time. I really appreciate everybody that came on tonight. I really appreciate you giving us this overview. How can people reach you if they want to learn more?
Oh yeah, and thank you so much for having me on. It was a lot of fun talking to you. So anyone that's listening, if they want to learn more, say about chatbots, marketing, anything like that, they can contact me on Facebook at Douglas Levin. I have a free cheat sheet and you can actually go through my bot. It's the top 5 tips for taking full control over your e-commerce income. I also have a YouTube channel, Morning Marketing Machine, and if there's any other way that I can help you, please feel free to reach out.
And you also have a course. Tell us a little about that before we sign off.
Yeah, I honestly have to do a lot more with it. It was designed. There is chatbots in it in terms of incorporating it. It's basically designed for more of an established Amazon seller that's looking to basically like learn how to do a lot of these different strategies in terms of building your list, setting up your own Shopify store, setting up an actual brand where you can start to have success away from Amazon as well as on it. So that's Build Your Brand University. I'm still kind of tweaking it and figuring it out, but yeah, if you guys are interested at all, please reach out and I'll give you a little bit more info on it.
Okay, and we can post the links. You can give it to me after we close, and I'll post the links and everything in the video as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.